is this our only delivery method? Why isn't it one of many? To mix, blended, network, social network, whatever it is, as long as we're measuring outcomes and you know what it takes in terms of standards to get out of school, why would you have to have one way of doing that? And clearly, looking at the statistics, it's not working. And the last flip is that curriculum's great, but it's hard for some people, and it's limiting for others, and some in the middle get it. But we've heard today from panels about what happens when students touch knowledge directly, and they contribute. There's no reason in today's world why they can't be in the middle of change, real change. They were put off in schools while parents worked before. So they're going to be part of what happens now. So the question really is, which way New Mexico? And that's really up to the people in this room. We've brought a lot of horsepower together, and you have a lot in your state. Are we just going to fix the past? You know, or are we going to move forward and create something new? And so I think that's our challenge. It's all of our challenges, and we'll go through and talk about a little bit of this. But if you're able to, can you say this? Something different is happening in New Mexico.
It's the chant.
Something's different happening.
Yeah!
Yes!
That's good.
Thank you.
Excellent. All right, thank you for that. All right, now I will say we'll level set our audience with our introduction polling questions. There's 3 little quick questions we want you all just to go ahead and answer right now. And I'm going to go to Mr. Weston while we're doing that. And all right, so Gordon's closing slide was which way New Mexico. So Mr. Weston, your comments about the 3 major flips and maybe our own Route 66.
Thank you, Marina, Jemai and Jamie, and Chris and Gordon. It's good to be up here with you. I believe that a paradigm change may be needed. I say may because paradigms aren't truth. They're based on followers, adherence, and paradigms answer questions. So I think the challenge before the people in New Mexico is what questions do you want to have answered by the paradigm you embrace? Let me give you an example. The current paradigm, its theory structure, beliefs, practices, everything that we think of as education here and probably throughout the United States, it's important to acknowledge that it's doing better than it has ever done since it was created. We are educating students to higher levels, more students are going on to college, and it's the envy of many other nations. At the same time, it's important to recognize that the question the current system was trying to answer is how do we educate some children to a certain level, to a specific level. So my sense is that if the question you all want to answer is that educating some of the children is what you're looking for, then I would say what we're talking about is paradigm refinement. The second question that I would ask you to think about is this. The current paradigm assumes or strives for educating those some children to grade level. And most of our policies, most of our funding, most of our programs, many of our roles in this room are designed or aligned with meeting that goal. And if that's what we're talking about, then again, I would say we're talking about refinement. We're talking about making the current paradigm work a little better. If, however, we're talking about educating all children, then I think a paradigm change is in order. And if we want to educate all students, then I think we have to ask on the heels of making that commitment, to what level are we aspiring for all children to learn? And for what purpose? Essentially, the tension that I feel is the tension between folks who want the system to educate all children to high levels as opposed to educating some to grade levels. And that tension, to me, indicates a crisis in our paradigm, in our belief system. And personally, what I'd like to see us do is embrace Benjamin Bloom's notion of a 2 sigma effect. Essentially, all students, and this is my interpretation of it, is essentially that all students are capable of learning 2 standard deviations above their aptitude. And if we were to accept that challenge, all students 2 standard deviations, then I think we're talking about paradigm change, we're talking about paradigm shifts, we're talking about revolution, and I suspect over here what we'd be talking about would be a large response to letter A. Strongly agree that the model needs to change. If they're split up here, I suspect what we're seeing is this tension.
Let's see. Let's see what it says. Okay. Oh.
Now, what happens in these kind of situations is I would like to think things would be as neat and clean as Gordon's slides. I think what history tells us is that when we're in these moments of paradigm crisis, that the future or the change comes from having a viable, complete alternative, a theory structure and a new paradigm that people can migrate to. They need to have a choice. And right now, we have different shades of gray within the current system. So in sum, my feeling is that anything less than all and exceeding aptitude reflects refinement, and the choice is yours.
Excellent. All right, so we see our response here. Let's going to go to Mr. Dede in just a moment, but let's get our second question. So we've got an audience that is in agreement about change, but how about yourself? Do you want to be a change agent? Yes, a lot, or maybe not so much? So I'll let you all respond to that. And Mr. Dede.
Well, I think this debate has been way too kissy-faced too far.
Nice.
So I believe my opponents have generated more heat than light up to this point. And I want to tell Gordon and Mark how it should be.
Okay.
They've talked about what, but not about how. And the key to this issue is how. How do we make this happen? And if we're going to get 2 sigma effects, if we're going to educate all children, if we're going to have a 21st century model, it's going to have to be based on customization to every single child. And we have a lot of models for how that customization can take place. Some people build intelligent tutoring systems that, for a narrow range of skills, track students second by second and provide detailed guidance as needed. Montessori classrooms are a different model where you have a range of powerful resources and you let the student navigate to what they feel they're most interested in next, and then the teacher provide guidance and support and lessons in how to use the materials. In the kinds of designs that I and my colleagues built at Harvard and in many of the educational technology innovations that we see, there's a kind of social customization where there's a jigsaw pedagogy, and each student has a piece of the elephant by design, and they have to negotiate those pieces together in order to find a kind of shared meaning. And that pure tutoring and pure mentoring and pure collaboration creates a kind of customization. With Web 2 now outside of the formal educational system, we see some very interesting models for customization to the individual, where people migrate to the kind of knowledge sharing tool that they are ready to use, and they pair up with others that are doing something similar. But the claim that I would make, counter to what Gordon is saying, at least for the sake of argument, is that this isn't just a matter of